The Trump administration's attempts to deport Venezuelan nationals, even those seeking asylum, using the controversial 1798 Alien Enemies Act, have been met with fierce resistance. This legal battle has ignited a firestorm of controversy, highlighting the deep divisions within American society. On one side stands a president determined to exert his authority on immigration, and on the other, a judiciary grappling with the limits of executive power. This case is not merely about immigration, it's about the very soul of American democracy. It's about the balance of power, the rule of law, and the fundamental rights guaranteed to all who seek refuge on our shores. The outcome of this case will have far-reaching consequences, shaping the future of immigration law and the very fabric of American society for generations to come. The recent appellate court decision blocking the Trump administration's deportation plan has only intensified this debate, throwing the nation into a state of uncertainty and anticipation. The legal battle began in the hallowed halls of the United States District Court for the District of Columbia, where District Judge James Boasberg issued a temporary restraining order halting the Trump administration's deportation plan. This decisive action sent shockwaves through the legal community and ignited a fierce debate over the limits of presidential power. Judge Boasberg, known for his meticulous legal analysis and unwavering commitment to the rule of law, carefully considered the arguments presented by both sides before issuing his ruling. He found the plaintiffs' arguments, particularly their due process concerns, to be compelling and deserving of further examination by the court. The Trump administration, undeterred by Judge Boasberg's temporary restraining order, filed an emergency appeal, seeking to overturn what they perceived as judicial overreach. They argued that the president has broad authority in matters of national security, and that the courts should not interfere with his ability to protect the nation from perceived threats. This back and forth between the judicial and executive branches set the stage for a high-stakes legal battle that would capture the attention of the nation. The fight was no longer just about the fate of the Venezuelan nationals facing deportation. It had become a battle for the very soul of American democracy. The Trump administration's legal team, led by the resolute Attorney General Pam Bondi, mounted a vigorous defense of the president's deportation plan. Their central argument hinged on the premise that the president has broad authority to protect the nation from foreign threats, including the authority to deport individuals deemed dangerous, even without a full hearing. They invoked the specter of the Tren de Aragua gang, a powerful criminal organization with roots in Venezuela, claiming that many of the individuals targeted for deportation were dangerous criminals affiliated with this group. The administration argued that allowing these individuals to remain within the United States posed an unacceptable risk to national security and public safety. Furthermore, the administration asserted that the Alien Enemies Act, a relic of the 18th century, granted the president the authority to deport foreign nationals during times of peace if they were deemed a threat. They argued that the act's broad language encompassed the current situation despite its historical context. The administration's arguments, while presented with conviction, raised serious concerns among legal scholars and human rights advocates. Critics questioned the administration's interpretation of the Alien Enemies Act and expressed alarm at the potential for abuse if the president were granted such sweeping powers. Section 4. A Glimmer of Hope. The Plaintiffs' Plea for Due Process. The plaintiffs, represented by the American Civil Liberties Union, countered the Trump administration's arguments with a passionate defense of due process and the fundamental rights of immigrants. They argued that the administration's deportation plan violated the Constitution's guarantee of due process by denying individuals a fair hearing before being forcibly removed from the country. The ACLU lawyers meticulously outlined the flaws in the administration's case, highlighting the lack of evidence presented to support the claim that all individuals targeted for deportation were dangerous criminals. They argued that many of those facing deportation were fleeing violence and persecution in Venezuela, seeking asylum in the United States. Furthermore, the plaintiffs challenged the administration's interpretation of the Alien Enemies Act, arguing that it was never intended to be used as a tool for mass deportations during peacetime. They presented historical evidence and legal precedent to support their claim, arguing that the act's intended purpose was to address wartime threats, not to circumvent due process in immigration matters. the plaintiffs' arguments resonated with many Americans who believed that the Trump administration was overstepping its bounds and undermining the very principles of justice and fairness upon which the nation was founded. Section 5, Judge Millett's Intervention, A Voice of Reason. The appellate court hearing, held before a 3-judge panel of the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, was a tense and closely watched affair. The judges, each with their unique judicial philosophy and experience, listened intently as the lawyers for both sides presented their arguments. Judge Patricia Millett, known for her sharp intellect and unwavering commitment to upholding the Constitution, emerged as a key figure in the proceedings. She pressed the Justice Department lawyer, Drew Ensign, on the administration's interpretation of the Alien Enemies Act and its compliance with due process requirements. Judge Millett's pointed questions exposed the weaknesses in the administration's case, particularly their failure to demonstrate that individuals targeted for deportation had been afforded adequate due process. Her questions reflected a deep concern for the rights of the individuals caught in the crossfire of this legal battle, and a determination to ensure that the government was held accountable to the rule of law. Judge Millett's line of questioning signaled that the Trump administration's interpretation of executive power would not go unchecked. Her probing questions and insightful observations set the stage for what would become a landmark ruling with far-reaching implications. Section 6, The Attorney General's Fury, Bondi's Rebuttal. The appellate court's decision to uphold Judge Boasberg's temporary restraining order, effectively blocking the Trump administration's deportation plan, drew a furious response from Attorney General Pam Bondi. In a fiery press conference, Bondi accused the court of judicial overreach and vowed to appeal the decision to the Supreme Court. Bondi reiterated the administration's stance on the matter, arguing that the president has the authority to take action to protect national security, even if it means circumventing certain legal procedures. She accused the court of siding with dangerous criminals over the safety and security of American citizens, framing the issue as a battle between law and order and judicial activism. Bondi's impassioned plea to the Supreme Court to intervene in the case signaled the administration's determination to see their deportation plan implemented. Her forceful response highlighted the deep political divisions surrounding the issue of immigration and the high stakes involved in this legal battle.